Welcome to The Book of Life, a show about Jewish books, music, film, and web. I'm Heidi Estrin. The Book of Life is a podcast service of the Feldman Library at Congregation B'nai Israel in Boca Raton, Florida. Additional support comes from the Association of Jewish Libraries. Moses is departing Egypt. The Facebook Haggadah took the internet by storm in the spring of 2009, being reposted and tweeted all over the social networks and the blogosphere. The tradition of adapting the Passover Haggadah to make it relevant to the current generation is certainly upheld by this hilarious piece, in which the Facebook you are there present tense style really does put readers into the mindset that we were slaves in Egypt. Carl Elkin, a computational chemist in the pharmaceutical industry, is the author of the Facebook Haggadah. I spoke to him at his office in Boston, Massachusetts. Carl, what is the Facebook Haggadah?
The Facebook Haggadah is a retelling of the traditional Passover story through the Haggadah in the medium of Facebook, basically.
What are some of the typical Facebook elements that you've included?
Well, I included characters posting status reports, characters giving gifts to each other, becoming friends with each other, and then also links to external applications. And comments, lots of comments, I should add.
Okay. What inspired you to create a Haggadah using the Facebook format?
Well, there were a couple of things going on. I've written Haggadahs in the past. I wrote non-serious Haggadahs. I wrote one while in graduate school. I wrote a graduate student Haggadah. And generally a little bit before Passover, I often think about what Haggadah I might write for any one particular year. So, for example, last year when the election was in full swing, it would have been very tempting to write a Haggadah around that theme. And this year, since I finally got on Facebook about 6 months ago, and Facebook is very much in the news, I began thinking about what a Facebook Haggadah might look like, and also in particular about how Facebook changes communication between people.
As we read the Facebook Haggadah, we see many mentions of a Facebook app called Yes We Can Serve. Tell us about Yes We Can Serve.
Yeah, that actually, I should have said, that's another main reason why I was motivated to do it this year. Yes We Can Serve is a Facebook application that I've written which is designed to help people conserve energy. This actually is motivated by my strong and growing concern about global warming. One thing which scientists are basically telling us is that if we're to ameliorate any of the worst effects of global warming, we basically have to get started now. Not in 5 years, not in 10 years, but now. And there's a limit to how much that any one of us can do as individuals, so it becomes time to try to reach out through others and to try to influence the behavior of others. And Yes We Can Serve is my attempt to do that. It's an attempt to make energy conservation to be social and fun. So Yes We Can Serve basically gives you a list of a couple of dozen different energy conservation ideas, and for each idea, it gives you information on the pros and cons of doing something. It gives you a little calculator which will explain how much it costs. It's going to cost you to do it under various different scenarios, both initial costs and how long it'll take to pay back. And it also gives you message boards so you can learn from the experience of others to try and get a reality check on how well the idea works in the real world. And finally, it tells you which of your friends have already chosen to implement the idea so that you can then talk to them separately and see how it works. And then additionally, if you wanted to, it keeps track of everything that you do so that you can see how much of an impact you're having in terms of emissions that you've avoided emitting, and also how much money you're saving.
Wow, it sounds very thorough. In terms of the Facebook context, I'm imagining that your friends would see on their wall that your activity had been, for example, that you turned off the lights when you left a room, something like that?
Yes, exactly. If you choose to take a pledge to turn off lights or to replace incandescent bulbs with compact fluorescent bulbs, then yes, your friends would see in their stream that that's what you've done. And you can also choose to brag shamelessly that I've saved, so many dollars so far this year, or alternatively, I've saved CO2 emissions that would be enough to fill 283 different bathtubs. That sort of thing.
Okay. The Facebook Haggadah went viral very quickly, and it got hundreds of thousands of hits within a few days. I know I saw my friends, Jewish and non-Jewish, reposting it all over Facebook. And then this drew attention to Yes We Can Serve, and I understand a number of people did install the app. But certainly the Haggadah itself got a lot more attention than Yes We Can Serve did. So I wanted to ask you, what have you learned from your experience with the Facebook Haggadah, and how can you use that to strengthen your conservation message?
That's a very good question. I've certainly been doing a lot of thinking about that as well. It can be difficult to learn from just two examples, but one message which comes through very loud and clear is that funny works and simple works. And as you mentioned a moment or two ago, Yes We Can Serve is in many ways a very thorough app. And I've learned that providing a lot of information is probably not necessarily the best approach. And what I'm going to do is, I think, provide a lot less information and try and present it in a way which is more humorous, basically.
So it really was a learning experience.
Yes, it was an extremely valuable learning experience. Besides sort of the fun of, temporarily being famous, I think probably the most that I've gotten out of this has been the learning experience of, I did something which worked much better than I had any right to expect, and I did something which didn't work, and I can really learn from the two.
Okay. On your About page, you wrote about how people have sent you suggestions for improvements to the Facebook Haggadah, and you said, quote, "People want to solve problems to make their part of the world a little bit better." This has always been true, way before Facebook, but how do you think social media affects our desire or our ability to solve problems?
That's a good question. I think it does. It has many effects. One thing is that it can make it a lot easier, basically, for somebody to find a way that they can have an impact. So, for example, if you happen to be an expert on Mount Rainier, it's very easy to find the Wikipedia page on Mount Rainier and start contributing to that. It would have been much harder before social media to contact the authors of the World Book or Encyclopedia Britannica or whatever and actually make an appropriate contribution. Additionally, it's much easier for people to find each other and for communities to form organized around a particular area of interest. You can see an awful lot of that with open source software. And finally, I think there's an increasingly more and more of a fine line between trying to do something which is very useful and potentially helping out and making things better, and doing something which is frankly just fun and somehow almost time wasting. What I mean by that is that we all need some downtime every day, and instead of spending your downtime watching television or just sitting on your couch or whatever, it becomes much easier to spend some of that time basically pursuing a hobby, which is also contributing to something bigger.
Very cool. Good answer. What's your next Haggadah going to be?
I don't know. My next Facebook project is going to be much sooner. I'm going to try and get something out in time for Earth Day, which is 21st, I think, so coming up soon. I don't quite know if that's going to happen yet, and to be honest, I'm probably not going to announce in advance what that is. But I'm going to get something out soon. I definitely want to pursue the lessons learned and try again.
Right. Well, now that people are so excited about the Facebook Haggadah, you might as well keep the ball rolling.
Exactly, yeah. One of the other big benefits to me from all this is that, as you suggest, I may have something of a brand. Certainly nobody knows my name, but the author of the Facebook Haggadah might have a little bit of swing to it.
Exactly. Okay, excellent. Well, Carl Elkin, thanks so much for speaking with us, and happy Passover.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. And I just wanted to add one thing, which is that maybe 3 or 4 people have asked me questions now, either over the phone or via email or whatever, and your questions have been by far the best. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Speaking of Facebook, you can now receive Book of Life episodes through your Facebook account. look for the Book of Life at networkedblogs.com and click follow, or click on the Facebook widget at bookoflifepodcast.com. The Book of Life is a podcast service of Congregation B'nai Israel of Boca Raton, Florida at cbiboca.org and is supported in part by the Association of Jewish Libraries, online at jewishlibraries.org. Our background music is provided by the Freilach Makers Klezmer String Band at freilachmakers.com. Visit our podcast website at bookoflifepodcast.com or listen to the latest episode by phone at 916-313-3820. We welcome your comments and questions at bookoflifepodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening and happy reading.